I did the face-off with both of you about a month ago, and it wasn't very nice towards the end of that face-off. I had to move back, and everyone accused me of ducking away from it. I wasn't. But you accused them of being disrespectful then.
Yeah.
What happened for those that maybe didn't get that clip? Why was he disrespectful?
It wasn't disrespectful, it was just a phrase I used, but he said, "Let's go now." And I clicked for a minute. I said, "What does he mean by that?" And then he repeated it again. And I just feel like anyone in here, if I was...
Boxing, this is what happens. This is boxing. These things happen. So, you know, we're fighting Saturday. Let's go.
So as I was saying, at the press conference, I just feel like you should never let anyone take an inch, because they'll end up taking a mile. You know what I mean, Dan? Sorry?
Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois talked about the build-up to their September 20th fight in a tense news conference. Naturally supportive of Dubois, Frank Warren emphasized Dubois' extraordinary physical and mental preparedness, pointing to his recent triumphs over formidable opponents.
A really good place at the moment. It's coming off of two magnificent wins, beating two world-rated fighters. One was against Hrgovic, and that was for the interim IBF title. And he won that in style. And he's at the top of his game now, mentally, physically, mentally. And I'm very confident of his chances going into the...
Notably, Dubois emerged victorious in the WBA interim title. After just emerging victorious from two elite fights, he's in a pretty good spot right now. He triumphed impressively in one of his victories against Hrgovic. He's mentally and physically at the peak of his abilities right now, so I have no doubts about his ability to prevail in this battle. Warren went on to talk about the kind of opponents each fighter had fought recently. He praised Dubois for facing and defeating more tough opponents than Joshua has faced, highlighting Dubois' fortunate position as a result of these victories.
It's quite intriguing, it's quite entertaining, and as I say, with these two, you know, they're two British guys, both of them on a roll. They're both coming off of some good wins, although I believe Daniel's opponents have been superior, better quality than AJ's. He's a young man, 26 years of age now, and he's going in with a guy who's got impeccable credentials in AJ. You know, the Olympic gold medalist in London. He's done everything that's been asked of him up to a point as a professional, 2 times world champion. He's going for his third crack of gaining the title. So, you know.
He also mentioned Dubois' age and momentum, implying that Dubois exhibits more experience and preparedness than Joshua. All of the build-up to this is pretty fascinating and entertaining, and as for these two, you know they're both British guys who are both on a roll and coming off of some solid victories. But I think Daniel's opponents have been of higher caliber than AJ's because he's a young man. At the age of 26, he is traveling with a man who has perfect credentials, including the Olympic gold medal list for London. He has completed all the requirements up to this point as a professional 2-time world champion, and he is making his third attempt to win the title, so you can assume he has more experience. Additionally, Frank Warren discussed the high expectations and pressure Anthony Joshua faces due to his higher profile and favored status.
The pressure is on him because obviously, you know, he's the bookmaker's favourite. He's probably the fans' favourite, and he's obviously the better-known boxer of the two, certainly in the UK. So everything's on him. It's how you lose a fight. If he lost the fight as the way you just said, then I think he'd have a hard way if he wanted to carry on.
Pointing out that Joshua, being the more well-known and celebrated of the two, faces significant pressure. I believe that the pressure is on him because, as you can clearly see, he is the bookmaker's favourite, the fans' favourite, and the more well-known boxer of the two, at least in the UK. Therefore, everything is set up so that if he lost a fight in the manner you just described, I believe he would have a difficult time making a comeback. Well-known insider in the boxing world Teddy Atlas has predicted the battle and praised Anthony Dubois' potent striking technique. But he also advised Dubois to test his resilience by venturing outside of his comfort zone and into a difficult neighborhood. Joshua will surely suffer a blow from Dubois, who has all the tools necessary to deliver one nevertheless. Getting there will involve traveling through a dangerous neighborhood where there is a possibility of being mugged, so that he can exit that hazardous neighborhood sooner.
He can punch, and he's thick, and he's strong, and he has all of those things. He has to get close to Joshua to land on, and if he lands on Joshua, he can hurt him. No doubt about it. But to get close to him, you got to go through a bad neighborhood. And you know what happens when you go through a bad neighborhood? Sometimes you could get mugged. You know, he has to have been improved in that area where he can get through that bad neighborhood early. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough.
Have made progress in that area. The legendary heavyweight boxer Michael Hunter, who has a ton of ring experience, recently shared his opinions on high-profile fights. While assessing Daniel Dubois' skills and highlighting his strong boxing heritage and the competitive spirit he shares with his siblings, Hunter said, "I think Anthony Joshua is going to get this one. I think he's going to knock him out." Dubois is a great fighter who comes from a fighting family with his sisters and brothers. Anthony Joshua's right hand has been growing sharper, more accurate, and more intelligent lately, thus I think he will knock him out. Joshua's improved right-hand precision and technique were praised by Hunter, who hinted that these advancements would be required to secure a knockout. Victory expert boxing commentator
by Hrgović, and they will protect his chin more in this fight. And then there's always some question marks about, this is heavyweight boxing, so there are always question marks about your chin in heavyweight boxing, but there's question marks about Joshua's chin if he's hit flush by Dubois. That right hand of his is enormously dangerous.
Commentator Gareth Davies recently discussed how unpredictable the sport is. He said that while a knockout could occur during the fight, it could also last the whole 12 rounds, showcasing the fighter's strength and perseverance. According to Davies, I could be totally wrong, and it could go 12 rounds. It might end right in the middle of the round after all. Because of their combined might, you never know when they'll get back up and resume their battle. Given Joshua's skill as a finisher, Davies expressed concern about his propensity to take too many blows, suggesting that a more careful strategy could be necessary to preserve his chin. This is crucial in heavyweight matches when opponents frequently test a fighter's toughness, particularly when facing a striker like Anthony Joshua, whose potent right hand gives the impression that Hrgović hit him excessively. They will guard his chin more throughout the fight, but there are also concerns about heavyweight boxing in general. In particular, there are concerns regarding Joshua's chin in the event that he is hit flushed by Joshua, given the danger of his right hand. Ben Davidson, who is still relatively young, has a rapid mastery of the sport, which Davies also appreciated. Lastly, Davies speculated that Joshua would have an advantage due to his better jab and tighter defense, which are becoming less frequent in contemporary boxing. He pointed out that Dubois could be at a disadvantage in this battle because of how often his aggressive style leaves him open to counterattacks. These evaluations led Davies to predict that Joshua may land harder blows and possibly prevail between the 6th and 8th rounds. Joshua, in my view, has a superior jab as well as a greater defense, though some could disagree. In addition, I think Dewey makes a little more of an effort and is more personable. Before fight week, if I had to guess, I would guess that Joshua will land a little bit more and win the fight after 6, 7, or 8 rounds. Reputable boxer. Dave Caldwell made remarks about Daniel Dubois' evolving personality during a recent press conference where emotions between the two men erupted. According to Caldwell, Dubois' growing self-assurance has made him more obstinate. During their conversation, Dubois made it clear that he was demanding respect based on his experiences rather than just his achievements, which was a clear indication of his changed approach. I believe that his arrogance was the source of his persistence, even when you observed him conversing with AJ across the table. Dave Caldwell explained Daniel Dubois' growth and self-awareness by pointing out that a deep mental shift has occurred as a result of Dubois' pride in overcoming challenges in both his personal and professional life. Dubois' resolve to accept his path in spite of criticism from others demonstrates his mature self-awareness and mental fortitude. He's always made me very proud of the mental transformation and all that he's overcome. In other words, it might not be viewed as a huge accomplishment by others because they say things like, "Oh, you showed those vulnerabilities in the first place, so you shouldn't add him in the first place." Sometimes, though, it's just that alone that makes you feel proud of yourself for an accomplishment. Others make statements along the lines of, "But it doesn't matter, it's about how you feel." Dave Caldwell carried on his analysis of Daniel Dubois' frequently disregarded abilities, highlighting in particular his undervalued footwork. Caldwell likened this to Anthony Joshua's technical and physical improvements over the last several years, as evidenced by his victories, notably the rematch with Andy Ruiz. This comparison shows how both fighters have evolved and adapted in the ring, as well as how prepared they are to apply their newfound skills in future bouts. He went on to remark that while AJ has developed with time and can stay focused if he needs to watch the Ruiz rematch, Dubois's footwork is genuinely undervalued. Dave Caldwell commented on the fight's equal matchup, stating that it provides a well-balanced test because both combatants are good in different areas. He emphasized Daniel Dubois's versatility in particular, even if he wasn't acknowledged for his agility. Caldwell described an instance where great footwork was displayed by Dubois, who had knee issues. Under pressure, showcasing his ring smarts, said that it's a 50/50 because their fighting styles are different. But even though Dubois will never be able to stand on his toes, he has nevertheless demonstrated quite a level of intelligence with his feet when he has had to, I believe his knee went. There was the most notorious sparring match ever. The GB Performance Institute sparring session in Sheffield in 2016 between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, who was 18 at the time, has generated a lot of discussion. As Frank Warren has freely stated, Dubois struck Joshua hard throughout the session, creating a period of instability that clearly unsettled Joshua. Eddie Hearn addressed Frank Warren's claim that Anthony Joshua was dropped by Daniel Dubois in a sparring session. Hearn expressed skepticism about the validity of these claims by citing the dearth of affirmative comments from credible sources. Witnesses denied anything happened, including Anthony Fowler, who was purportedly present. If I were Daniel Dubois,